Hey guys, it goes on here. I'm gonna be going get some breakfast with my mom. Been craving a biscuit. So yeah, take you guys with me. My sister just got home from her trip. She's gonna sign in Alex's room. So
it's like sizzling summer.
Mom, say hi to YouTube.
I just said many kisses to you. But then it's
Jeez, that's loud.
oh, that's right, you're not saying you just what you're saying. Alright, I'll talk to you later.
The value that he offers, 2 starts, 2 top 10, drive range over 100, both his starts, and he's a test loss run in each of his starts as well at Indy. So you're going to get some bonus points out of Kyle Larson. But honestly, beyond that, it's going to be a crapshoot. I don't think there's really going to be any crazy surprises. Reed Smith may be one that you might want to think about, but his last 2 starts were finishes at 3rd and 18th, but he hasn't run here since 2012, and obviously it's different equipment, so be a little bit wary on that one. We don't practice all day today, so you certainly going to want to look at that and see how those 10 consecutive lap averages. So check out MRN.com and NASCAR.com do a great job of giving you the practice sheets that show those 10 consecutive lap averages. And then I guess I can't not mention Jeff Gordon in the 88 car. Obviously, he's fantastic at the Brickyard. A record 5 wins here. Finishing positions, he's finished in the top 10 in 4 of the last 5 Indy races. Obviously, won here in 2014. Really good numbers, drive rating over 103 in 4 of the last 5 Brickyard races, and then fast laps run. You're getting double-digit fast laps run out of him almost every time now. He's done it 3 of the last 5 races, so lots of bonus points to be had. His number's a little high. I don't know what he's going to be in DraftKings, or I'm sure the number's close. I haven't looked yet, but in the NASCAR.com Fantasy Live, his number's around $25, a little bit more than that. So a little pricey for someone who hasn't driven all year, but it is Jeff Gordon, and I think if you can squeeze him into your lineup, I wouldn't worry about the rust. I mean, he knows his place like the back of his hand. So I kind of like that price point for Jeff Gordon. $25 is not bad to get that value out of that equipment and that caliber of driver. So that's kind of what I'm looking at. There's not too much value out there. I apologize. I try to give you a couple of them, but it's going to be really tough this weekend. Maybe look at the practice chart, but I don't think there's going to be any surprises in the top 15.
Now, just in general, with Jeff Gordon going in, Dale Earnhardt Jr. coming out, how big does this upset the old fantasy T cart this weekend?
If anything, it's I don't want to say I hate saying that Dale Jr. not in the car is a good thing in any shape or form. But for fantasy purposes, it could be, because Jeff Gordon now in at least tiered leagues, meaning there's a max number of starts you're allowed to do. This is a time you sort of must start Jeff Gordon. So because you're not going to start Jeff Gordon 9 times in 2016. It's just, so this is one where you can if you were thinking about starting Kyle Busch, you don't have, and you're running out of Kyle Busch starts. This is where you would go, all right, well, kind of getting low on Kyle Busch. I'm kind of getting low on Joey Logano or Jimmy Johnson, one of those big name guys. Let me toss Jeff Gordon in there. That's a really good, clearly a pretty easy choice right there. There's not too many, there's not too many NASCAR leagues that I know of that are, you have the same roster every single week. So you have a draft at the beginning of the year, sort of like in the NFL or Major League Baseball, fantasy baseball type type game. So I should really upset it more. It makes it a little bit more interesting, I think, and you can sort of have a little more strategy involved, which is kind of cool.
You know, this isn't per se related to fantasy, Mike, but just from statistics and looking at some of the numbers that you guys put out this week that are so helpful when we're writing stories and doing the show, it is very odd of how many champions have come out of winning the Brickyard 400 every year at Indianapolis Motor Speedway in the Sprint Cup Series.
Yeah, it was kind of a trend. Like, not only, I want to say it's maybe 9 at this point that the Brickyard has either been won by a past, present, or future champion, and the list of drivers who have won the Brickyard in their championship year continues to grow, and the most recent example, of course, is Kyle Busch last year, but Jimmy Johnson has done it a couple times. I want to say Dale Jarrett did it in 99. Gordon, I believe, did it once, maybe 2001, I want to say. So there have been a lot of examples like that. Yeah, it's a great point. I mean, you just look at the wins list. The only drivers that won the Brickyard and haven't won a championship yet, it's real short. Ricky Rudd, Jamie McMurray, Paul Menard, and Ryan Newman. Those are the only group. And Tim Harvick was part of that list, but then obviously he won the championship in 2014. So he checked that one off. But yeah, so it's a list of 4 since more than 20 years. That only 4 drivers or non-championship champions that won the Brickyard. So kind of interesting stat there. It's a great call out there. And it kind of speaks to how I'm having such a difficult time finding some value, because everyone who wins and everyone who runs well there is an outstanding talent and pretty expensive. So just like I said, not going to be much value, and I think that stat you just mentioned there, Pete, is a really good example of why.
Appreciate you dropping the knowledge, my friend. Look forward to catching up with you next week when we preview our second trip to Pocono in 2016.
They always
cool, love it. Tricky Triangle. Enjoy the weekend, guys, and fans. Enjoy Gordon's return. I hope everyone tunes in. MRN, NBCSN is going to be really good.
All right, thanks, Michael. Mike Ford, NASCAR's Director of Racing Communications. Of course, giving us the statistical breakdown from a fantasy perspective for this weekend's NASCAR Xfinity Series and NASCAR Sprint Cup Series races at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. And, of course, radio coverage actually through Indianapolis Motor Speedway Radio Network and the coverage on Peacock, as far as the television is concerned. And, by the way, today, starting at noon, wall-to-wall practice coverage from Indy, noon to 5 Eastern Time. And that'll be your first chance to see Jeff Gordon back behind the wheel in the number 88 car this weekend for the race at Indy. Coming up, more of your calls, 866 Pit Lane, and Jeff's press conference on the way in 45 minutes.
The Sirius XM Comedy Channel.
Larry the Cable Guy.
This is Jeff Foxworthy.
Comedy Radio. This is my channel.
Welcome to Comedy.
Comedy Central Radio brings you the biggest names in comedy. You'll hear from the best stand-up comedy from Comedy Central's massive library. Laugh USA.
Clean comedy.
Oh, now that's funny.
Sirius XM's Comedy Club. Comedy great. Iconic comedians on Sirius XM.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Sirius XM Comedy. Channels 94 to 99.
I want to put LOL